At some point, technology stopped working for us and started working on us. Most people can feel that. They just can't explain it. The sweet spot is between 2004 and 2008. That's the window. And when you go through it point by point, it becomes pretty hard to argue with. Let's start with the internet itself. By 2004, broadband was mainstream in the US. You could actually use the internet at a real speed for the first time for most people. Google was already what Google is. Wikipedia launched in 2001, and by the mid 2000s, it had answers to almost everything. You could find information on any topic in seconds, book a flight without calling anyone, email someone on the other side of the world for free. The utility was huge. But here's the part that mattered: the internet was still a place you went to, not something that followed you around all day. You sat down at your computer, you did what you needed to do, you got up and walked away from it. The internet didn't come with you to dinner. It wasn't in your pocket buzzing every few minutes. It wasn't waiting for you when you woke up. It just kind of lived at your desk. That separation, that physical boundary between you and the online world, that was doing a lot of work that nobody appreciated at the time. It kept your life yours. The internet got the hours you gave it and nothing more. Now, the iPod, released in 2001, one device, 1,000 songs in your pocket. Before this existed, you had a Walkman, a CD case, and a whole production just to listen to music while you moved through the world. The iPod made that completely obsolete, but here's what actually made it special. It did one thing, just one. It played your music. No ads, no algorithm deciding what you should listen to next to keep you engaged longer, no notifications, not even an account to log into. Just your library and your headphones and whatever you felt like listening to. You were completely in control of the experience. The device served you, not the other way around. This is what technology looked like at its best. Something so good at its actual job that it just got out of your way and let you live. The iPod is probably the clearest example of this sweet spot philosophy in a single product. Social media did exist in this window of time, but it wasn't what it became, not even close. Facebook launched in 2004. MySpace was everywhere through the mid 2000s. AOL Instant Messenger had been around since the late 90s and was still massive. So it's not like people weren't connected online. But none of it was optimized for your attention. Facebook in 2005 was just a page where people posted updates and photos in chronological order. You saw what your friends posted in the order they posted it, and you might have wrote something on their wall. That was the whole product. There was no algorithm deciding what to show you based on what would make you most likely to keep scrolling. It was just people posting things and other people seeing them. AOL Messenger was social, but it was contained. You had to be at a computer to use it. You closed the window and it was gone. There was no notification chasing you into the physical world demanding your attention. MySpace was more like a creative outlet than a trap. People built their pages, picked their songs, wrote about themselves. It felt like expression, not comparison. The gap between what social media was then and what is now isn't really about the concept. The concept was always the same. The difference is the intent, what it was built to do to you. Phones in this era were just a tool. The Motorola Razr, the Nokia, flip phones, these were everywhere from the early to mid 2000s, and people loved them. Your phone made calls, sent texts, maybe even had a couple of games on it. That was the product. That was all it did. You put it in your pocket and you were actually present wherever you were. You went to dinner and the phone wasn't on the table. You saw a movie and the phone was in your car. You were at a concert and you watched the concert with your own eyes instead of through a screen. The iPhone didn't exist until 2007. The App Store didn't even open until 2008. So for almost this entire window, the smartphone wasn't a thing yet. And because of that, people were just physically present in their own lives. Entertainment in this era was different too. DVDs were king. Netflix existed, but it was mail order. You picked movies from a website, they showed up in your mailbox a couple days later, you watched them, and you sent it back. There was actual friction involved in watching something. And the friction was the feature, because friction meant you had to decide you actually wanted to watch something. You couldn't just kind of fall into it. You didn't end up watching 3 episodes of a show you don't like because it just started playing automatically. You chose what you wanted to watch, you watched it, and you were done. Video games in this era shipped as complete products. You bought the disc, you played the game, and there were no microtransactions, no season pass, no live service designed to keep you logging in every day. The game had an ending. You either finished it or you didn't. Either way, you eventually moved on with your life. YouTube launched in 2005, but early YouTube was just people uploading whatever they felt like. There were no ads at all, no algorithm pushing the next video, no creators engineering thumbnail faces to steal your click. You found something funny, you watched it, and you closed the tab and went back to whatever you were doing. Nobody was trying to own the next hour of your life. Nothing in this era was built to trap you, and that made the experience of using all of it completely different. Technology during this sweet spot respected your time. Not because the people building it were more ethical. That's a nice story, but it's probably not fully true. It's because the business model didn't require stealing your attention at work. If you were to buy an iPod, you bought the iPod and Apple got paid. The transaction was done. They had no financial reason to make you use it for 6 hours a day. After you bought it, why would they care? The shift happened when advertising became the dominant business model of the internet. Once that locked in, every major platform needed your eyeballs for as long as they could, and they got very good at it. Your phone became the most powerful attention capture device ever built. Every notification, every red dot on an icon, every badge, all of it is engineered and intentional. The business needed you to keep looking, so they built things that made you keep looking. And it worked so well that it stopped being technology and started being something else entirely. The interesting part is we made this trade willingly. Nobody forced it. Nobody snuck it in while we weren't looking. We stood in lines for it. We told our friends about it. We upgraded to the next version the second it came out. Because on the surface, the product kept getting better. The phone was shinier, the apps were more fun, the short-term experience improved every year. But at the same time, the long-term cost quietly went up. More convenience, less peace. Better tools, worse attention. More connection, more loneliness. That was the trade that got made somewhere around 2008. And we're still living inside the result of it every single day. Now, what do you actually do with this? Because the answer isn't to throw your phone in a river. You can't go back to 2005, and you probably wouldn't actually want to. The technology of today is useful in real ways that matter. But the people who actually understand what happened, who can see where the line is between a tool and a trap, they move through the modern world differently. They know the algorithm isn't neutral. They're intentional about what they pick up and how long they hold it and when they put it back down. That window from 2004 to 2008 wasn't perfect. It had its own problems like everything does. But it showed us something important. It showed us what technology could look like when it was actually on your side, when it made your life better without asking for much in return. We just didn't know what we had until it was already gone.